Ashe! We got trouble!
Ashe brings some awesome new lore to Overwatch, however it's scattered and fragmented across a number of locations, so we've pieced together every detail that you need to know about Ashe and how she fits into the world of Overwatch.
Everybody needs a family. Because it's not fair facing the world alone.
Ashe wasn't born into the outlaw lifestyle, in fact quite the opposite. She was the daughter of a wealthy couple and led a very privileged early life. Her parents were highly sought after business consultants and coaches for powerful CEOs around the world. So far, it's not been confirmed who they worked with, but we know from Sombra's story that she believes there is a conspiracy between many of the world's largest companies, so there is the possibility of a connection here. Ashe's parents paid her little attention, mostly leaving her in the care of the family's omnic butler, Bob, who remains her close companion to this day. However, they still made sure that Ashe had every opportunity for success, presumably with the best education that money can buy. This fairly lonely home life and a lack of direct parenting put Ashe on a rebellious path. She began to get in trouble at school and in later years with the law.
I don't care how tough you think you are. They should always be there for support. No matter what.
Eventually she crosses paths with a young ruffian named Jesse McCree, and an impromptu string of crimes committed together opened her eyes to her true calling. The satisfaction of outwitting her targets and the thrill of getting away with it set her on the outlaw path. McCree and Ashe have a very interesting relationship. From the animated short, you might get the impression that they once dated, however Michael Chu confirmed that this isn't the case. However, according to the timeline, they must have met at a pretty young age, as we know McCree was inducted into Blackwatch in around his late teens. The pair were obviously very close, as even around 2 decades after McCree left the gang, Ashe still has a picture of them together on her bike. But we'll come back to this again in a moment, as it's very important to her story in the present day.
Now some people are lucky enough to be born into the perfect family. Others, well, they go out and make one on their own.
After a short time, Ashe and McCree were joined by 2 others, and together they formed the Deadlock Gang, with Ashe appointed as their leader. They started to really make a name for themselves with a string of extravagant heists, and they rapidly rose to prominence in the American Southwest. We know the gang specifically trafficked in the illegal trade of military weapons and hardware, which explains why they went after the military train in the reunion short. However, as the gang became stronger, they found themselves at odds with other criminal factions in the area, and these different groups began to violently clash. This continued for years, and a lot of blood was spilt before Ashe eventually called the heads of all the major groups together. She was able to see beyond their petty grudges and squabbling for turf, and instead how all the different gangs could grow alongside one another. Using techniques which she picked up from her parents' work, she guided the leaders into working together, or at least not against one another, with a set of 4 core principles. Keep your word, don't work with the law, respect each other's territory, and always punish betrayal. With the gangs no longer fighting each other, Ashe was able to focus all of her energy into her more productive criminal endeavours, and has cemented her legacy as an outlaw legend with a series of audacious heists and operations, including her most recent attempted robbery of a military train, a plan that would have gone off without a hitch if it wasn't for McCree.
Been a while. You promised you'd write.
Well, Ashe. I've been kinda busy.
Which brings me back to McCree and Ashe's history together. We know that about 2 years after they met, the Deadlock Gang was targeted by Blackwatch in a sting operation that saw many of the gang's members, including McCree, arrested. McCree was given a choice, rot in a jail cell or join Blackwatch, and he chose the latter. However, this was a major betrayal of Ashe, and has had a lasting impact on her life. She's carried the weight of this betrayal with her for around 20 years, the picture on her bike serving as a constant reminder, and it's clear that although they weren't lovers, she certainly at least loved him like family, and now she's willing to take revenge for all of that heartache.
If you cross me, or if you break your word, there'll be hell to pay. You can count on it.
So much of Ashe's dialogue revolves around loyalty, and 3 of the 4 rules she established with the other gangs are heavily directed at what happened with McCree. It's not entirely clear if she made those rules before or after the Blackwatch sting, but it seems most likely it happened after McCree had left, as they were only really together for about 2 years before the incident. Their relationship is very complex. Meeting McCree changed Ashe's life and set her on the road to becoming an outlaw. He became like family to her, the first real family she had ever known, and then all too quickly, he betrayed her and went to work for the same people who had just locked up the rest of their crew. He's also able to push her buttons and drive Ashe into a rage like no one else. Michael Chu confirmed at BlizzCon that the way we see her in the reunion short isn't what she's always like. That's just the reaction she has to McCree. Normally she's much more cool and collected. Obviously Ashe rebuilt the gang, but it's unclear if she looks on its current members in the same way she did the original founders. We also don't know where the other 2 founders are. If they went to jail in the sting operation, they could well be released soon, as it's now 20 years later. I'm sure they would feel just as angry towards McCree, and Blizzard have mentioned in interviews that we might be learning more about these characters in the future.
Doesn't always have to be this way, Ashe.
Apparently, it does.
Where Ashe goes from here is anyone's guess. Does she just continue her crime spree, or does she seek revenge on McCree? Will other characters try and hunt her down, perhaps Sombra looking for information on the companies that her parents worked with, or maybe Doomfist looking for another recruit for Talon? Let me know what you think and if you have any theories on Ashe's future in the comments below. As always, this is James for Cass, saying thanks for watching, and enjoy the game.
So, if you want to be part of my family, I do have one little rule. It's my way. Or, well, who am I kidding? It's my way.